Welcome to the Sunday 9 o'clock service. We'll be doing Sata Nama, and when you do Sata, you go the first finger to the thumb and then the next one. So it's Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. Sa is the beginning, Ta is life, Na is death, Ma is rebirth. Sata Nama is so primal that its impact on our psyche is like splitting an atom. The power of this mantra comes from the fact that it rearranges the subconscious mind at the most elementary level. It has the power to break habits and addictions because it accesses the level of the mind where habits are created. So if you want to make a major change, do this every morning or before you go to sleep. Sa, ta, na, ma. And there's, on the internet, they do have different variations of it. It's always the same notes, but different people with different combos. So it is accessible on the internet. So we're going to do it.
Good morning, everyone. Possibly the greatest promise ever made by the Master of Life is this: seek and you will find. Certainly, there are a lot of people who are seeking. Unfortunately, they are seeking the treasures and pleasures of the world to the exclusion of the spiritual treasures, the imperishable treasures of the soul. And there are people who are seeking God throughout the world, seeking to find that spiritual joy and peace, but they're seeking it in temples and ashrams and shrines that they consider to be holy sites, where they think something extraordinary, some energy exists that they might be able to partake of. And so that particular idea of seeking and finding is misunderstood. It's basically people are like fish seeking water. For the apostle put it very clearly that God is omnipresent, everywhere present, as it is stated in the book of Acts, chapter 17. In him we live and move and have our being. We are indeed children of God. However, it's up to us to find our way back into that consciousness. You know the great allegory about the parable son leaving the father because he wanted to participate in pursuing life on his own from the personal point of view, with his personal will, to pursue the personal things he thought would make him happy and free. And that's a very clear parable about mankind. And so many are still involved in that process. But you see, the one place outside of meditation that you can find God is in the extra mile. That particular term derives from a passage in the book of Matthew that the Master stated. You have to understand, at the historical period of that time, the Romans occupied Israel, and the Roman governors passed an edict that any Roman could require a Jew to carry his belongings up to 1 mile. And so I suppose it was more convenient and less expensive than employing a donkey. And so this went on in that society at that time. And Jesus put a different spin to it. Certainly there would be resistance to doing that, but Jesus put a different spin to it when he said this. Can we have this on the PowerPoint, please? You can read this in Matthew 5:41. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. An interesting idea. And certainly it has two meanings. One, if you've been awake in living, you understand that when you are doing any type of task or work, and you're doing it with a grudge against doing it, you're doing it with resistance, then that extra mile becomes a real drudgery. Because in your mind, you're saying to yourself, I shouldn't have to be doing this. I don't want to be doing this. Why am I now again forced to do these things, get them done, get them finished? And so we feel this pressure. And many people do it on the jobs where they work. There's a pressure to getting through the stuff, and then they can be free to take a break, or they can finally look at the clock and it'll be time to leave. But what the Master is stating here has a universal aspect to it, because he's saying, not only don't resist the extra mile, go another mile. What would that actually be accomplishing? It would be accomplishing diminishing the voice of ego-centered awareness. There's me living a life in which there are all these things I want to do and get to do, and all these things I have to do. Life is divided in the mind of the ego-centered personality between the things I want to do and the things I have to do. And what the masters like Jesus are doing is they are trying to get us to that place where we make the things we have to do also the things we want to do. Do you believe that that is possible? And do you believe that in accomplishing that, you will find what Jesus called life abundant? And so we have this somewhat riddle, this conundrum, to go 2 miles when you're asked to go 1. Though you have difficulty getting through your job every day, don't just get through it. Don't try to cut any more corners. Do it to the best of your ability and beyond the best of your ability. Do more than that which is expected of you. Do you see, and if you don't see, you will see if you practice, how this takes the mind out of the thinking of the world, out of the ego-centered concept of separation. And that's the only way into the consciousness of God. It is the only way into the kingdom of heaven, the only way into divine enlightenment. It is the only way. If you are still stuck on your self-centered illusionary concept of life, okay, nobody's going to beat you up for it. You are simply going to continue to beat yourself up in the process of living. There's no separate God who's going to judge you for not taking care of the business of life, which is to awaken to true life, to awaken to true living, which is to surrender the illusion of separation eventually and live in the guidance and the presence of the only intelligence, which is God. And so we are given this admonition by the Master 2,000 years ago. And of course, it's not easy for us who have been born and raised in a self-serving, self-centered concept of life. But when we finally get to the place, and sometimes it takes a few years, maybe many years, to understand that the illusionary identification of self doesn't lead to completion, fulfillment, peace of mind, or happiness. And when we get there, we may then start to do these spiritual practices that the masters call us to do to arrive in our destiny. So you have modern day master Eckhart Tolle relating to this as well. Can we take a look at this on the PowerPoint? This is from his book, Stillness Speaks, on page 42. Do you treat this moment as if it were an obstacle to be overcome? Do you feel you have a future moment to get to that is more important? Almost everyone lives like this most of the time. Since the future never arrives except as the present, it is a dysfunctional way to live and generates a constant undercurrent of unease, tension, and discontent. It does not honor life, which is now, and never not now. Interesting way to put that. It does not honor life, which is now, and never not now. We should be able to see how inner resistance to anything going on in this moment of living is going to create useless, unnecessary suffering. Because we have the supposition, the projected illusion in which we were born and raised, that we somehow should be able to control the conditions and circumstances that we see outside ourselves in order to make them conform to our expectations, our desires, and our demands. That's the reason why we pursue getting a lot of money or developing a lot of personal power or personal prestige or whatever it is that these people do from the ego-centered point of view to try to get that control over life around them. And then you see the craziness, the real madness, when somebody does become a huge personality with a lot of money, and he has to have an entourage, has to have a bunch of people around him all the time, telling him or telling her how great he is or she is. And then you read the newspaper article about these people, they're on drugs. They wind up in rehab centers. It's amazing how we keep missing it. That only in the majesty of awakening, in the enlightened state of consciousness, can we find freedom. So it is that we have the opportunity in every moment to pursue the truth that will make us free. I remember a time when I wasn't in the ministry. I was married to Norma, living in New York City. We had a small apartment in a basement place. It was a pretty nice apartment. And we had a baby. We had our first child, Dell, who is the anti-vax guy in the world today. But at that time, he was just an infant. And we had a tiny crib in the corner of the bedroom. And in this tiny crib, which was up high enough, we would expect Dell to sleep. And we'd expect him to sleep all night because we would plan it that Norma would nurse him through the hours just before he's going to go to bed. And then we would change his diaper and we would put him in his crib. and then we would comfortably go to sleep in our big bed about 8 or 9 feet away from his crib. But there was a great lesson to be learned about infants. It doesn't matter how you try to plan to control them, just like the circumstances of the world, they often are not controllable. And so we had Dell crying and crying and crying, and I would say to Norma, let him cry. He's going to cry through, he's going to make himself weary crying, and he'll finally go to sleep. That was my concept at that time. He cried for an hour straight, and it just went through you over and over again. We kept waiting for it to stop, and it never stopped. So finally I got up, because we assumed, okay, even though we changed his diaper an hour ago, he must need something, or maybe he needs another nursing, I don't know. But I got up, and I went to the crib, and he needed a diaper change. Now in those days, they had these diapers that you bought. They were plastic, had plastic on the outside. They hadn't invented the tape yet. So you still had to pin the diaper. So you had these big safety pins. So I took his diaper off and put it on the floor, and took this new diaper and put it on him. And these were really thick diapers with this plastic on them. And you had to get the pin through the corner, each corner. And I am there dead tired, and I am trying to change this diaper. And I've got this big pin, this safety pin. And I am in a state of resistance unlike anything God has ever witnessed. And I'm trying to pin this diaper and not pin him in the process. And I'm shoving to try to shove this pin through this thick diaper. And I finally shove it through, and I shove it right into my thumb. And I see a bright light go on. And God said, "Are you awake yet?" I had a flash of insight. It was one of the first insights, not the first, but one of many insights that you get about resistance, about forcing, trying to make it happen in spite of the fact that it's not going the way it should, trying to make it happen. We have people in politics that are like that. A lot of people in politics that are like that. But anyway, the pin episode was just one of many. And what I'm getting to, because you'll probably remember that little story more than you remember these phenomenal truths I'm laying on you. Okay, here it is. The phenomenal truth, capsulized, goes like this. Life is a process in which we are given the ability to reflect upon our thinking and our actions. It is by divine appointment we are given this, so that we can bring our understanding to a place of equanimity, a place of flowing with conditions and circumstances as they are, while we now are capable of feeling the presence and hearing the guiding presence and the insight of the living intelligence we call God. So we are seeking to learn how to quiet our mental, emotional responses. So we live in a state of divine peace, which provides inner insight from the very present Creator, who is the only God. This is our training ground. And so at some point, we should be able to get to a place where we receive a Nobel Prize, we could receive a Nobel Prize, or clean a filthy toilet with the same equanimity of mind, with the same peace of mind. And the one thing that you will notice about those like Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra and other masters that have taken to task their own awareness, they are unflappable. Things can go terribly awry in their presence and their life, and they do not lose their peace of mind. They don't lose their peace of mind. And that is God consciousness. If you want to find your way into the kingdom of heaven, and you still think in some way that it's off somewhere when you finally drop the body and you're going to go to this beautiful heavenly place, what do you think is going to happen in heaven? Do you think you're going to arrive in a place where you're going to get your own ego-centered volitions, desires, demands met? Or will you have to learn how to be in heaven so you're not a pain in the rear end of everybody else who's sharing the place? You're going to have to learn exactly what you're being taught right now, because heaven, as the Master said, is in the midst of you. But it would take a little bit of practice to transform the illusionary conditions that were foisted on you from your childhood, from your education, from your peers, who are living in the illusion of the world, in the thinking of the world, which thinking is forever projecting the idea that somehow or other you should be able to make enough money, have enough power, prestige, great personality, whatever it is, and you'll find peace of mind because you'll have control over most of your circumstances. Just look at the history of these people that got there with all of that, but were not enlightened. Certainly some people that have a lot of money. Eckhart Tolle's a millionaire, by the way. Certainly people that have attained and made a lot of money, they've done their spiritual work and they're there, so it's not a factor. But you can see many of those who did not find their way into their true destiny, who are crazy, and they can't find a way to please themselves or find peace. Look at the sad story of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson would come home after rehearsing that incredible show, and he would ask the doctor that was his attending doctor, "Give me something to sleep. Anything, I don't care what it is. Give me something so I can sleep." Well, you know how that turned out. If you don't get anything about what goes on here at Unity, you should be getting some of this. It's not out there. It has to be derived from your soul essential self, your true nature made in the image and likeness of God. And when you do that, when you get that and you make contact with that, you'll begin to understand this. Can we have this PowerPoint, please? Now, you may not have understood this until now, but you're going to understand this now. You can read this in Luke chapter 22, verses 24 to 27. A dispute also arose among them, his disciples, which of them was to be regarded as the greatest. And he, the Master, said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles," that's the outer-directed, worldly people, "exercise lordship over one another. And those in authority over them are called benefactors. They have found it. But not so with you. Rather, let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as one who serves. For which is the greater, one who sits at the table or one who serves? Is it not considered the one who sits at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. I, the master of your life within you, am among you as one who serves. I bring you to the enlightened state when you open your mind to your spiritual practice. I am God in you. You are in me. And so can we take this back again? Look at this, what's taking place. The disciples are thinking, oh boy, we're all on this spiritual path. We're all praying and meditating together along with this phenomenal master who walks on water and raises the dead. And someday, boy, we are going to be great as well. So now they're having a dispute of which one of them is going to be the greatest. And the master says to them, the kings of the earth, kings of the Gentiles, the rock stars and superstars and movie stars appear to exercise lordship over the people around them. They are, in fact, appearing to be in control. And they appear, as the people in authority appear, to be lordship, to be in lording over them. And those in authority over them are called benefactors. They are the great ones. But not so with you. Rather let the greatest among you become as the youngest or the least, and the leader as one who serves. For which is the greater, according to the world? The one who sits at the table, or one who serves? Is it not the one who sits at the table? But I am among you as one who serves, because only in mastering your mind to a place where you are capable of being one with the moment, however it is presenting itself, you are capable of flowing with it and having peace with it, even though you may be taking actions and you may be opening up to bringing a certain justice or understanding to the conditions. You are not deserting the divine consciousness of peace. Therefore, on your job, go the extra mile, do it better than you are required to do. With raising your children, embrace no resistance. In cleaning that garage, or in fixing your automobile, or in working extra time to get something better, don't do it with resistance. Do it for God. Come into God consciousness. Be able to flow with life as it presents itself, because you have no other way of finding the kingdom of God. There is no other path. We are going to meditate together, which is one of our spiritual practices. We should be taking time every day to sit still and rest and not fight with the thinking of the mind. Just rest and become more and more capable of being at rest, being okay with doing nothing. And if you are involved in that practice, your thinking will quietly quiet down. And then there's a feeling of joy and energy and peace that replaces that spinning and thinking we are so involved in. That's meditation. So today, this morning, we're going to do our guided meditation together. And we're going to start by listening to these Tibetan bowls and allow ourselves to flow with the beautiful tones. Then I'm going to do a somewhat guided meditation when we get to that place of silence. So just allow yourself to be present here and feel safe and at peace. Relax and enjoy being awake in this very moment. still. And know that I am the one in all, the all in one. Beside me, there is no other God. Be still and know that I am in you, you are in me. I am the truth, the life, and the way. Beside me, there is no other God. Be still, rest, allow peace to flow in your awareness, knowing I am in you, you are in me. I am the truth that will make you free. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am the one in all, the all in one. Be still and know that I am in you, you are in me. Be still and know that I am God. Okay, Josh, we can fade the music out now for this last part of the meditation. Be still and know that I am the one in all, the all in one. Be still and know that I am in you, you are in me. Beside me, there is no other God. Be still and know that I am the truth, the life, and the way. Be still and be at peace in the awareness that there is God. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us go forth with a greater determination to practice the presence, to release internal resistance to what is, to honor each moment by flowing with it. And for this opportunity in every moment, let us experience that gratitude and share that gratitude. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now in our new tradition, bringing to mind that amount that you'd like to give as a gift to support the Unity of Boulder Church Center and the ministry that takes place here every day. And those of you on the screen watching this on live stream or Facebook or YouTube, you can tithe in any of these ways that are up on the screen. And so can you that are sitting here physically involved in the spiritual service. But we have a basket in the lobby. If you want to make a physical donation, you can do that as well, or just take your credit card and dip it in the credit card dip jars to make that donation. So as we take to mind and in heart the amount we'd like to give to support Unity of Boulder and its ministry, let's bless it with this offering statement. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give.
There's a handout for Sata Nama by the basket that you can take with you. I am in your sacred are the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. And I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you.
Everyone, hey, welcome to the Unity community, Unity of Boulder. We are the most eclectic, most diverse community in the country because we believe in diversity and we believe in sharing. I'd just like to give you a special message today. There are many, many peoples everywhere that have suffered by virtue of the devastation of this pandemic. Certainly those who have suffered the most are among the Native Americans, who every year we do a drive for, a Christmas drive in which we collect presents and gifts and other items that are needed, like clothing and heating equipment and things like that. So I would like you to start thinking about that while you're shopping this year. If you want to pick up a gift for a young child or a boy or a girl, you just pick up the gift, you wrap it, and you put on the gift package, whether it's a boy or for a girl, and put the age on there that the gift would be appropriate for. So just keep thinking about that. We're going to give you more information about that. And we have a special treat for you right after the service. We're going to do a special intro to kind of tease you about our upcoming Christmas Eve service. So stay tuned and enjoy.
Now let us take a time to connect to Spirit in prayer. And to do this, first we need to just breathe. Take a breath now. Just be in that pause and relax. And let go of the outside world. Just be in this moment. And in prayer, it's good to imagine connecting to your spiritual core, that ever-present connection to Spirit. So do that now. Just bring your attention to that inner spiritual core. And in that space, we can know and feel that we are loved. We are loved just the way we are. In that space, we remember we are loved unconditionally. Feel that love now. You may imagine yourself and your whole body surrounded with a warm red light. And affirm with me, I am God's perfect child. I am God's perfect child. There's nothing to be but me. There's nothing to be but me as I am. in this moment. We know that this love that is within us, the love of God, the love of Spirit, permeates every cell of our body. So feel that now. It is the love of God that reminds us that we are whole, we are complete, and we are held. I am whole, I am complete, I am supported. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, thank you for this love that enfolds all people, all things, all time. We are the love of God. I am the love of God. I am. And to this we say, Amen.
Hello, my name is Arenya River White, and I will be singing The River by Joni Mitchell, my mom and I's favorite Christmas song. It's coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. But it don't snow here, it stays pretty green. I'm gonna make a lot of money and then I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long that I would teach my feet to fly. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby cry. He tried hard to help me, you know, he put me at ease, and he loved me so fully, made me weak in my knees. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I'm so hard to handle, I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I've gone and lost the best baby that I ever had. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. Oh, I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I coming on Christmas. They're cutting down trees, putting up reindeer, and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
Thank you, Arenya, and our beautiful band. If you don't know, that's my daughter, Arenya. We like those depressive Christmas songs. They're just so pretty and so melodic. And, Joni Mitchell, I mean, she's got great music. So I wanted to start with that song because the holiday seasons aren't always a happy time for people. The holidays can actually be a time that it brings up, kind of magnifies a feeling of maybe being alone, or magnifies being in the midst of change, or, if we have spouses and children and all that, that's what makes Christmas so magical. And so that's why churches are so important, that we recognize that this isn't the easiest time of year if you are facing change in your life at the moment. I was watching a Hallmark movie last night. I usually watch very light type of TV to just kind of stay out of my head when I'm preparing to speak the next day. And Mike and I were observing, when you watch these movies, it's like the exact same plot line with different actors. I mean, it is exactly the same plot line, and it goes something like this. Somebody's working in a city. They're going to go home to their home country town for Christmas. They run into their old boyfriend from high school, or the guy that owns the ice cream shop that they went to high school with, or the coffee shop owner that they went to high school with. They start dating, under some sort of circumstances, and then they fall in love because of the Christmas spirit, and are reminded that the city life isn't as good as a good hometown Christmas. And it makes you feel good. The acting's terrible. I mean, awful. I mean, I could be an actor in one of these shows. I mean, I'm like, unbelievable. And yet you seem to not want to change the channel. You get hooked on the love line of it because it's just so happy, and it's just so sweet, and it's just so simple, and it just makes life look so easy. So Mike and I started having fun afterwards and rewriting a Hallmark Christmas movie that would probably have to move out of G to PG. And we could not stop laughing, changing the characters. And obviously, it was a lot of fun, and we were just in this magical place of kind of speaking to what the holidays really are truly like for most people, even people with partners and kids. It's a stressful time, and there's a lot to pull off, and especially now with no stores to walk into, or it's all online, and it's just not the same to not see all the ornaments and be around other people that are enjoying the Christmas music and all that. So I wanted just to mention that, because with my daughter singing that song, we love songs like that, and we're so blessed to not be in a place where it is a depressive Christmas. But the Hallmark movies, Hallmark is owned by a Christian company, and it's all light. It's lifted. And yet it doesn't really teach you how to get through the holidays. And they put in Bible passages. You see them sneak them in and things like that, but they don't really actually give you any navigation points of how you make it through when things aren't going well at Christmas. And so I started to think about, what is a story that points to us feeling the magic of Christmas? What is a story that touches our hearts and can lift us and actually give us a sense of something drawing us to do better and be better and have a birth of Christ within ourselves? And I was looking through some old literature of mine, and I came across a story. And it's a true story, but it's coming from Edgar Cayce. And Edgar Cayce, who is the most documented psychic and has been a proven psychic, who can actually go back in time and tell stories about time past. And he actually comes up with a story of what actually happened as far as the Christmas story. And it's super interesting. It fills in some of the blanks. Yeah, we've read the Christmas story in the Bible, but to hear really what the energy was back at that time when the birth of Christ was coming. This reading was given for the Thomas Sugru journey. It was questions that were asked from the first Search of God group, and then there were answers from Edgar Cayce about what actually happened as far as the birth of Christ. While concurring with the gospel account of the purpose behind the journey to this small town south of Jerusalem, namely to be registered for a new Roman tax, the Thomas Sugru readings make a passing reference to the spiritual education and preparation that Mary, from the age of 4 until 16, underwent in the Essene community on Mount Carmel. The Essenes, we learn elsewhere, were a reclusive Jewish religious sect of both men and women that embraced the teachings of the Jewish prophets from Elijah onwards and accepted astrology, the study of solar systems, numerology, and reincarnation as part of a broader understanding of the interaction between the divine and the human experience. As a result of the knowledge gained, they were aware of the cyclical time frame associated with the ancient prophecy concerning the coming of the Messiah, and of the necessity for creating those conditions conducive to its fulfillment. This last week, my women's group was closing up our book on outrageous openness, and the whole last few chapters were on astrology and the importance of knowing what our birth signs are and our rising signs, and to be able to navigate more surely on our path that we are fulfilling that which our soul's journey is here to do and be. And it was a super interesting conversation, and we were going all over the place, and many people left going, I've got to go get an astrology reading. I would like to find out what my birth chart is, because when it comes down to it, when we are on a spiritual path, we recognize that there are no coincidences. There are none. Everything is a divine plan. Everything's divine order. So there is a reason that the second that you came into this world, your entrance had purpose. Your entrance had meaning. And so to know what your rising signs are and what your birth signs are relative to your spiritual journey. And numerology. So it's so interesting to watch that the Essenes studied in these things to fine-tune their intuition and be better aware of the signs and symbols of spirit moving in and through their lives. And so here we are talking about that last Tuesday, and then this article appears. When I'm searching for what I'm going to be speaking this week, it appears. And clearly, it was meeting me in my group as a way-shower of what we beckoned together that night. Spirit never stops blowing my mind. Spirit, when you step out of your own way and you put the power into the hands of the Creator, God, Source, Allah, whatever word makes you feel the presence of divine love, you will be divinely guided to that which is needed at all times, in every situation, every circumstance in your life. So when we call to the universe, we get answers. So our group, and that's what I love about having a women's group, is that we're collectively coming together. It's almost like coming together in prayer, you know. To pray with another is a powerful thing. To be with other women searching for the answers and searching for a greater connection with God through sisterhood. It's a powerful practice. It's a powerful work. So we were opening up to more and more of the Christ potential in ourselves. Because it's not about some distant day that, you know, God was born and Jesus was to be some special, separate entity that's different than us. We have to look at the story of how it pertains to our own personal lives. In the book, Your Hope of Glory, which is a Unity book, it says, in the Unity teachings, the word soul is generally used to designate the total consciousness. But in Bible interpretation, as given by Charles Fillmore, men represent that phase of the soul we term mind, and women represent the emotional or feeling nature of the soul. Mary symbolizes the purified soul that has become highly intuitive and sensitive to inspiration from the Lord. To the soul in this state, an angel, spiritual thoughts comes. Hail, O favored one, the Lord is with you. We are confused when we first receive spiritual inspiration. Mary was troubled at the saying and considered in her mind what sort of greeting this might be. In the initial stage of our spiritual awakening, we are not aware of what is happening. It is different from any experience we have ever had. If we will be still, reassurance will come. Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and behold, you will bear a son. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. That is, we are to be receptacles for this outpouring of Spirit. We are to bring good into visible form. But how can this be? It is not in accord with the human laws with which we are familiar. For that purpose, they undertook under the supervision of their leader, Judy. So this is what the Essenes did. For that purpose, they undertook under the supervision of their leader, Judy, the instruction of a chosen group of young girls who were offered by their parents for the purpose of one thing. For the purpose of one of them becoming the vessel through which there might be the birth. In Mary's case, she was 4 years of age when her mother Anne presented her to the Essenes. She, along with some of the others, later freely chose to dedicate herself to this ideal. We learn that she was about 12 years of age when she was chosen. It was sunrise as she and the other maidens ascended the altar steps of the Essene temple for morning prayer when the angel Gabriel appeared and took her hand to lead her forward. Mary had become purified by spiritual aspiration and dedicated to the will of God. She was highly intuitive and thus receptive to a revelation from the Holy Spirit and was aware of the quickening of new life. The idea of perfect humanity, Christ, was immaculately or spiritually conceived by her. This idea, filled with the life and wisdom of Spirit, was gradually to form its outer vehicle of expression, Jesus. The marriage between the older Joseph, who was an Essene associate, did not take place until Mary was 16. It also took place on Mount Carmel. The couple arrived in Bethlehem after a journey of several days during which there were delays due to Mary's advanced condition. It was cool. We are told that the road to Bethlehem was quite crowded with shepherds, husbandmen, and other coming in from the hills of Judea to be registered for taxation. Mary and Joseph were not alone, but were accompanied by some of Joseph's assistants and others. In the meantime, the inn had become crowded with an assortment of other travelers. So this is all from this reading from Edgar Casey. And officials whose presence and behavior made the inn unsuitable for the event that some had hoped would take place there. Laughter and jeers created Joseph on his arrival with his much younger and very pregnant wife. So it was for the purpose for protecting them from further abuse and the disturbing conditions inside for such an occasion that Absafar, the innkeeper, who was also an associate of the Essenes, felt it be best to turn the couple away. This is interesting, because we haven't heard this part before. So one of the followers of the Essenes, he's also part of meditation and astrology and numerology. He owns the inn. And there's some sort of a party because they're excited about this birth of Christ, but it's not the holy energy that is needed for the coming of this Savior. This shows that everything doesn't always go as planned, even Christ's birth. They already had a plan. This is where it's supposed to happen, and now they're sent out in the cold, and they now have to find, where is the child of God going to be born? Immediately those with the couple and who were aware of the urgency involved looking for a place where shelter and privacy could quickly be found. As a result, Mary and Joseph took refuge in a stable set in one of the hillside caves nearby. Then when hope seemed gone, the herald angels sang. The star appeared that made the wonderment to the shepherds, that caused the awe and consternation to all of those about the inn. Some making fun, some smitten with conviction that those unkind things said must needs to be readjusted in relationship to things coming to pass. All were in awe as the brightness of his star appeared and shone. As the music of the spheres brought that joyful choir, peace on earth, goodwill to men of good faith. All felt the vibrations and saw a great light. Not only the shepherds above the stable, but those in the inn as well. To be sure, those conditions were later to be dispelled by the doubters, who told the people they had been overcome with wine or whatnot. Just as the midnight hour came, there was the birth of the Master. When we turn to a reading requested by the Norfolk Study Group for a deeper understanding of the birth of Jesus, the Christ, we are presented with an opening comment that immediately suggests a transcendental perspective. For time never was when there was not a Christ and not a Christ miss. From here on, we are drawn into a more metaphysical interpretation of the event. After acknowledging the historical account as written up in Luke's gospel, Casey stresses that the perfect concept of what the birth means can only be known by those who seek to experience what such an advent means in their own lives. So then we take to task, what does the birth of Christ in me mean? What does that symbolize? Why does it touch us? Why does it bring a sense of reverence and connection? Is it some separate Son of God that's distant that we refer to be able to get his favor so we can have a relationship with God? Or is Jesus an example of what we were all capable of being? And Mary, from the age of 4 years old, was prepared to be the avenue for that love. Does it have to be a miraculous experience? Or what if we raised our children to know that they are the avenue for the love of this world? That we are the children of God. And our children are the children of God, and we've been the avenue for them. And our children will be the avenue for the next Christ creation on earth. Reference is made to the difference between the knowledge of an event and the wisdom embedded in it, which in this case was the desire of the soul that was Jesus to give the more perfect concept of the relationship of mankind to the Creator, as was also the case with Mary. It is pointed out that there is a lesson here for all of us, namely the willingness to become a channel for the expression of God's love in this world. So the various aspects of the preparation for the coming of the Christ child are in themselves pointers to us for the work of bringing about the birth in ourselves of that same divine consciousness. It almost looks like I almost have all women in here, and this is for the men too, but for those of us that have given birth to children, or fathers who observed their children being birthed, I don't think that we can ever really point to another time that we feel closer to God. This sense of this miraculousness of being in a moment singular to your own community coming through you. Your little magic children that appear. I can sit back and I can remember each one of my kids and staring at my children after giving birth, after all the chaos of natural birth, and it all ending with the holding of that child. There is no time. Time has stopped. And you're in the presence of the beloved. Who's to say that that beautiful child that we're holding isn't the child of God? You look at this child and you say, how could this child look this beautiful and perfect? This can't be me. This is something greater. And how we learn to be parents as we don't have books or we don't have anything to prepare us to be the expression of the kind of love that has to raise a child to become a powerful and beautiful being, an aware being, a kind and compassionate being. And yet, there's just whispers that just kind of move us through it until it becomes almost like you realize you've been a mother before, you've been a father before, and this isn't the first time. From your many lifetimes, the memory of being the mother of the child of God. And for some, the birth of Christ's story makes them feel uncomfortable due to an upbringing maybe in another religion or a Christian upbringing that had some implications that they were not good enough or that they had to accept Jesus as their Savior, and somehow that didn't feel right to them. Christianity doesn't work for everybody. However, there's a wonderful thing written by Eric Butterworth, who is one of the most amazing Unity ministers, in his book called Discover the Power Within You. And he writes, is God a Christian? Think about it. There was no Christianity when Jesus walked the earth. What he taught was a universal truth. His followers later made it into what we think of as the Christian religion. Most of this happened over centuries, engineered by those more concerned with perpetuating a monument than disseminating a message. This is super, super important. Most of this happened over centuries, engineered by those more concerned with perpetuating a monument than disseminating a message. He writes, I have often speculated on what Jesus would have done if he had been seated around a table with a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Muslim, all the religions, discussing ultimate truth. I just can't believe that Jesus would have said, you must all forsake your beliefs and come and follow me. I think he might have pointed out that the differences were chiefly a matter of semantics, and that here is an underlying principle similar to the Christ idea in every religion. I think he would have stressed the basic unity within the diversity of religions, pointing out that the greatest need of all persons is to find that indwelling unity with God, which is found in the principle of divine sonship that we call the Christ. In this sense, we may well ask ourselves some of these leading questions, drawn from the Messiah's birth story. How are we preparing spiritually, mentally, and physically for the coming of the Christ child within us? Do we try to purify the body? discipline the mind and bring about a holistic balance between the spiritual, mental, and physical so that we may become better vessels for the indwelling of God's presence in us. Do we periodically take ourselves apart from the world, as in daily meditation or in other ways that allow us to become more attuned to the divine? Are we engaged with a persistent spiritual practice individually or as part of a group or church that allows us to become more attuned to the divine? Do we exercise the faith that is required of us to enter upon that journey that results in a new birth, which many of us are in that phase right now? Building our faith for the new birth, the new earth. As we're watching things falling away, we have faith that we only have good ahead of us. And we stay in spiritual and vibrational alignment with that. Do we pay attention to those dreams, inner promptings, and intuitive insights, the angelic influences that beckon us to follow the light, the heavenly star that shines within us? Time and again, the individuals in the group that sought this information were advised and encouraged to seek to be channels, each according to their abilities for the loving expression of this universal creative force. So it's a matter of finding what is your special thing that you add unto this world. Because everyone is needed at this time. And everyone has something uniquely beautiful that Spirit gave you to be a channel of His love, to be an expression for this new birth, this new earth. The readings emphasize that is in our positive responses to such questions posed by the Bethlehem story that today or tomorrow, the Christ may be born into our consciousness. For He was the elder brother. He is the babe in thy heart, in thy life. To be then even now, as then, nourished in the heart, in body, in mind. For as He chose to enter, so ye have entered. As He chose to live, so may ye live. And as these changes come about, and as ye make known that as has been the raising of that consciousness of His presence in thine experience, by thy dealings with, by thy conversation with, by thy life with, thy fellow man, so may ye hasten the day when He, Christ, may come into thine own heart, unto His own peoples, to reign, yes, in the hearts and lives. Then what are ye doing about it in thy daily life, thy daily conversation? For not by might nor in power, but in the still, small voice that speaks within. And so it is. We'll take an offering for unity now.
We will take an offering for unity now, and while we're doing that, we should consider how deeply involved this Unity Center is in divine transformation. In other words, we're not so overly involved with a lot of, pomp and circumstance. We're involved with inspiring each other to go a little deeper within our own awareness through spiritual practice, that we can open up and feel the entering of this Christ awareness. While it is given symbolically as the birth of a son 2,000 years ago to God, That's the beginning step for us as we look upon it. But what Santisha is saying here today is about our journey of preparing ourselves for the most extraordinary thing that can happen in anyone's life on earth. So, having received this message, we should be open with our mind and heart to share and support this ministry, which is so totally focused on divine transformation. So, to those of you that are tuning in, just watching this on screen, live stream, or on YouTube or Facebook or any one of the other medias, you can look up here at our screen and you can see the different ways you can make a donation to Unity of Boulder so we can continue this ministry of transformation. And to those of you sitting here, you can also make a donation through one of these particular medias, or you can make a donation, and if you have a particular physical donation, you can leave it in the basket in the lobby, or you can dip your credit card in the credit card dip jars and make your donation. So right now, why don't we just all bring to mind that gift that we would like to make to this ministry to support it in its ongoing teachings of transformation. And let's bless that gift with this offering statement. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. And now we have a wonderful opportunity to give you a glimpse, to have you look forward to our coming live stream Christmas Eve service at 6 p.m. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be extraordinary. And to give you a little taste of it, we have this number that's going to be shared right now by Dinah Snow and Santisha Shadle. It begins with these words. 'Twas the night before the first Christmas. Not a creature was stirring, but all were awake. Such silence the Bethlehem hills had never known. Shepherds in those hills sat upon the earth, spellbound by the majesty of that silent night, in which their flocks made not a single sound. Then out of the star-studded heavens came the voices of angels, chanting an ode to humanity, preparing all for the birth of Christ. So, 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, tune in to our live stream Christmas production. And we'll have our closing benediction together as we sing.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was. Lucy, come on up here. With God as a leader, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. In the Spirit. Let the Spirit run my life.
And my
And my
heart.
heart is open wide.
Yes, I'm.
Yes, I'm only here for God.